Hello all. Hi, this is Neha Jaiswal. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, great. Okay, so let's start with the session. So today we are going to deal with the other concepts of core Java. Here we are going to talk about exception handling and collections. Before I start with any of the concepts, I would like to ask you some questions that for the sessions that I have conducted yesterday. I think you will be in a position to answer me, right? So I would request you all to again switch on your camera and talk to me. Okay. So before I start asking you questions, I want to ask, did you even go and do some research to understand the data structure concepts? The one which is going to be much fitted or much suitable for you to put in as an answer? Did you do anything about that? Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
you did.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
that's okay. What?
Ma'am, I started with kicks for kicks, ma'am. There started
Oh,
a data structure.
great. Wonderful. So you started something and you know the site name. Okay, so that is the best thing. Okay, how about others? Khagendra and Manav. What do you think? Okay, nothing done. So my question. So before I okay, let me just start with the questions here. The questions that has been asked for your arrays and strings. I'm going to go through those questions and possibly, if it is possible for you, you can answer it to me. Okay, let's say the questions which you can expect. The question which you should expect are: what is an array? What are the different types of, basically I'm starting with array, different types of array. Then what is the index number? What if you try to give the index number of an array to be negative? Then what are arrays? Arrays is also a class, so they can ask you a question on the same, okay, which is present in util package, so you can answer that question. Okay, next question that they can ask for is: on which memory is array created? Okay, so how do you declare a jagged array? What do you understand by jagged array, anonymous array? Okay. So next question can be: can you declare an array without its size? So so now about all these questions, the only thing is you need to practice, okay? Unless and until you have not written the code, okay, you have not seen how a particular array is created, how different ways are required to create for the same, you won't be able to understand, or you won't be able to answer these questions. Understand the question. Understanding the question is also a very important thing in here. So we need to work in both the aspects. Okay. Am I clear here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, great. So there are many more, so I'm not going to go for everything. Let me just start with string. Okay. So basic question: what is string? Okay, and what is string a data type? They ask this question. So how do you make uppercase, lowercase characters or uppercase, lowercase strings? What are the different ways to create string object? Can we have a string in the switch case, and so on? Okay, what is a string constant pool? The different methods present in string class, and the very important one, which is always asked, okay, by major interviews: why are string immutable? Okay, so you should be able to answer this question: why are string immutable? Can anybody answer me for this one? Why do you think strings are not mutable? Apart from this, they can also ask questions on difference between string, string builder, and string buffer. The famous questions. Yeah. Why do you think strings are immutable? Yes. If you don't know the answer, make sure that you research well
Ma'am,
to be able to
value
answer the
cannot be
same.
changed.
Value cannot be changed. Why do you think the value cannot be changed? That is the question, right? Yeah. The question itself is that thinks that this particular string cannot be changed. So now my question is why it is not possible for us. Yeah.
Oh, no, ma'am.
Okay. Not an issue. We'll see. Okay. So I'll start sharing my screen today. So these are the common questions that you can expect. I have still not been through all the major questions. Okay, there can be more to it. There are more to it, but I have curated those things as well. Okay, anything and everything you see around it, you obviously the PowerPoint presentations that I've made, and maybe say if I'm showing something, except for the programs that I write, okay, because I just write those programs when I'm working. So those programs are curated. Okay, those things are curated as in everything is readily available online. Those are not my materials, so you can just find it, search for it, and you can get the same materials there. Okay, so you need not refer or just rely on to what I'm showing in here. Okay, I'm just making it, tapping down the research I'm just not making it very difficult to you. I'm just showing a path, a pace that you can refer to. That is what this thing is all about. Okay, are we clear here? Okay, okay. So now let's start with very important question. Okay, which is exception. What is exception? Okay, very favorite, very famous, and this exception question, this exception concept itself is something is one of the features of Java. Okay, previously there were no major exception handling done, but now in Java we have got exception handle. Okay, you guys, do you know about this exception handling? Yeah. So exception, errors, okay, concepts that you should be knowing about. Exceptions, errors, throwable, okay, array index out of bound exception, runtime exception. Then you have virtual memory error. Okay, then there are exception like SQL exceptions, IO exception. Okay, so all these things that I just mentioned are nothing but classes. All of them, each and every one of them are the classes. They are present in their specific IO or specific packages depending upon their usages. Okay, depending upon where they are used and where they are required. Okay, so first of all, when you start learning, when you start understanding this concept of exception handling, you should always start with the hierarchy. Okay, it's take a point, take a note in here that for this exception concept, then you have collections and IO or file handling, whatever you call. For these three major concepts, it is very much required that you know which class or which interface has been extended by the subclasses or any other classes which you're using for your purpose. To get the point, always remember the hierarchy and everything. Okay, again, everything that you want is readily available online. Okay, you just have to search. So instead of having the theoretical understanding of a particular thing, if you want to pace up or if you want to understand it in more detail, you can go for the images section of the search engine. You'll find a better option, a better understanding. Okay, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, it's just for easing out the task. Otherwise, words are always required for you to talk to explain others. You cannot draw a picture rather than explaining. So it is a better thing to understand with the diagrams and explain with the words. For the just remember the this diagram and just reproduce it as per your understanding in your own words. Okay, it has to be technical though. Okay. So starting with this, I am going to share my screen. Just let me know if you can see my screen. If it is not visible, I'll have to do it again. Yeah. Is my screen visible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here I am using Eclipse IDE version 2019-09, and you can go to you can just use whichever software is okay for you. Okay, whichever version is okay for you. Okay, If you don't want to use Eclipse, which I highly recommend that you use it, okay, but it is better that you do not go for anything else, because we want to do enterprise programming as well, enterprise Java programming. So this is a best suited option. So you can go for other things like IntelliJ, NetBeans, BlueJ is again for core Java, but it is totally up to you. But I would request you all to stick to this one. It is a much recommended version. Okay. So this is an IDE wherein we are going to do a Java programming. So we need to change our perspective, like I've told you before, if at all your perspective is in Java EE. So now we need to work on Java because we are working with simple core Java programs. So we need to create programs, projects in here. So this is how you create a project. Here, I'm going to create a project. This is my day 4. So I'm going to mention that, okay, into my program. So anything or everything that I do here will be reflected on this particular section. Okay, so as per the norms, always make sure that you have packages, and within those packages, you have to place your class files. So let's say, for example, if I want to generate a simple exception, a simple error, okay, then how am I supposed to do it? Okay, let's say, for example, I am creating a simple class to demonstrate a simple exception. Okay, so here, as per the naming convention, I need to go with some package name. So I'm specifying here as exception handling. Okay, HANDLING. And the name of the class, let's say this is, I am trying to do one runtime exception. Okay, I'll tell you everything about it. This is just to, runtime exception is a class. So just, let's do this. This is what public static void main, and I get my class. So if what I need is properly created. Okay, so now when and how an exception occurs. Okay, so for that we need to start with the basics of what is an exception. Okay, so we say that if you get an error, that becomes an exception. So what is an error? An error is something that is going to block my code. Okay, then what is the difference between an error and an exception? Do you think error and exceptions are the same? Okay, so everything breaks down to very smaller concepts, and here the basic concepts that you need to understand what exception handling is are errors and exception. Both of them are different. Okay, so if I have to talk about exception, I can say an exception is an abnormal shutdown, or it restricts the normal flow of execution. Okay, and we don't get the output which is expected. But when it can be resolved. Okay, if I get an exception, I can resolve it and I can work along with it. But when I work with errors, okay, so errors like my virtual memory becomes full. Okay, errors like these are the kinds of errors we know. Okay, a programming error is something which is not going to let your program work. Okay, and also that cannot be solved programmatically. That means you cannot solve this problem if a memory gets flooded. Okay, you don't have memory in your virtual memory, so how are you going to work? How is your program supposed to get executed? Right, so you cannot write a program for the same. You have to clear out your RAM for the same purpose. Okay, so things that cannot be resolved by programs are errors, and things that can be resolved by a program is your exception. Hence, we have got the concept exception handling and nothing as error handling. Okay, are we good so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Just a minute, people. I'm just searching for some stuff. I have that data, so I don't have to waste my time doing the other stuff.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
You're late for the session.
Yeah, actually, I was having trouble.
Okay. Good afternoon. Okay. So this is what I want to show you all. Okay. simple explanation which I have that I have used before. So I'm just going to show it to you. Okay, so what is an exception? A normal condition that interrupts the normal flow of execution, like I've told before. Let's say I've got 5 lines of code, and within those 5 lines of code, my third line is showing an issue. Okay, my second or third line is showing an issue. It is showing some error or showing some something which is not correct um, as per the logic, but it has to be supposed to be done. So it is going to give me an exception. Okay, and the rest of the code will not be executed. You should know about this that Java handles exception automatically. Okay, there is a special exception handling mechanism which is handled by JVM. Okay, like there is garbage collection. Similarly, they have exception handling. So if I have to handle it as per my understanding, as per my convenience, then I make use of all the things which are present in my exception handling concepts. Okay, let's see this. So what is an exception handling? It is a mechanism for handling exceptions. So how do we do it? We handle exceptions using try block, catch block, finally, throw, and throws. We'll try to see each one of them one by one. Okay, how they work, how they are executed, and how you should implement in your program. Now, in interview, it has been asked, what is exception? What is exception handling mechanism? What is the process to handle exception? How do you handle exceptions in Java? Okay, how is try, catch, and finally used for handling exceptions? How is throw used for handling exception? What is the difference between throw and throws? Is finally always required? What if I don't want to write a try block? Okay, can I simply have a try and a finally block? Okay, and then again, they can have questions such as the very important questions: what are the different types of exception? Okay, so we'll start with that first. There are two types of exception. One is compile time exception and runtime exception. So they are called as checked and unchecked exception respectively. So the exceptions which my which my compiler asks me to handle, forcefully makes me to handle the exception, that is called as compile time exception. Whereas the exceptions which are executed at the runtime, let's say when we get the memory and then only we understand, yes, there has been some error which is not letting our program to get executed in normal flow, then this checked exception comes into picture. Okay, there's one more concept called as try with resources. We are going to see that too, how this works. It was actually introduced in the version JDK 7. Okay, so different variety, like I was talking about. If I have to do this first, the hierarchy. Okay, here the hierarchy starts with object class. Object class is inherited by throwable. Throwable is again a class. Okay, then we have got error and exception. These two are different classes which inherit throwable, which helps us to handle the exception, which extends the toString method which we require to print the error message. Hence, we need to extend each and everything that we have in here. Okay, so different variations. You can write try with catch, you can write try, catch, and finally you can write try, catch, 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 try with multiple catch. This is what it is called. Then you have got try, multiple catch, and then finally is also allowed. Try with finally, and then this is nested try. And at the end, you can also have try and finally. Okay, try and finally is also done. Only try is also allowed. It is actually in the case of try with resources, wherein you can write catch as well. It's okay. Okay, so we'll see to it how this works. You'll get to know more about it. Yes? Are we good here? Do we understand this? Yes, people.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So let's see the programming. So this is my first, we are going to go for checked exception, unchecked exception, and then we'll try to understand how checked exception works. Okay, so I'll just rename this to unchecked exception. This is how you rename, refactor, rename in here. Okay, and then I can say unchecked exception. Okay, so all the references which we have will be updated accordingly. So there are no mistakes done if the IDE does the renaming process. Otherwise, once you have given a name, it is not possible for us to change it every time. Okay. Okay, just a minute. Okay. So how do you generate? Let's say, for example, I'm going with the very common exceptions that people use. I am using, I have got int a, okay. Let's say I initialize it to 10. Okay, you must have seen this example. Not a rocket science, very simple example. I have got this value as 2, and I have got c, which is supposed to store some value. Right now, it has been initialized to 0. Now, what I'm doing, I'm performing some kind of operations wherein I'm saying c is equal to a by b. Okay, and I'm simply playing a statement which is going to print me the value of c. Okay, do you understand this? Yes, guys. Simple code, nothing to worry about. Simple, very simple code. I'm just dividing two numbers and storing inside the third variable and displaying the value. So I should be getting the value as c is equal to 5, right? Very simple. Now, what if instead of having the value 2, I make this as 0? What will happen? What is the problem here? Nothing, right? Syntax good, compiler is not showing me any issue, and the operators and everything is being used properly. Even everything is fine. There should be no error, right? No trivial mistakes that I've made. And now I try to execute, but I get something in here. What do you think? This is a message which has been printed by JVM. This is an exception handling done by the JVM. What is it saying? It is saying that exception in thread main. Okay, main is a thread. Okay, it is saying there's a java.lang.arithmetic exception. There's an exception class called as arithmetic exception, which is of type unchecked exception. And the message that it is printing is divide by 0. Okay, this is nothing that I have done, right? It has come automatically. Now, this message I don't understand, although there has been an exception, but I need to understand what is the exception. The exception is a computer cannot store the value infinity. Can you, if any number is divided by 0, the value is infinite. And I don't have any container to hold infinity in computers. So what I'm going to do, it has to print a message, a proper message. Okay, so this is so much decorated. Now let's make it more simple for us. Now let's try handling the same thing. So this handling of exception is done by these keywords. Do you see this? Try, catch, finally, throw, and throws. So let's try to make use of try, catch, and finally. Mostly these are used for doing the same. So try is the block which will hold the code which is supposed to throw me an exception. These are all block construct. Okay, so I will say this is try block. I know that this particular statement is giving me an exception. So I'm going to place this inside my try block. A try block cannot be used. Only a try block cannot be used. You should be having either catch or finally block. So let me just have the simple term wherein catch and finally both are present. So what does this say? Catch is a construct. It is a construct wherein I need to specify what kind of exception I'm handling. So here it says that the exception that I'm handling is arithmetic exception. I can be more specific, or I can just make use of the basic exception class name. Okay, which is exception. Exception class is the base class for all the classes of exceptions in Java. Let that be arithmetic exception, runtime exception, array index out of bound exception, IO exception, whatever you were talking about. Okay, so here I want to give my own message, so I can say cannot divide by 0. Okay, let's make it a proper 0. Yeah. So now if I try to execute the code, okay, what it should be giving me. Okay, let's keep it. Okay, so here I get cannot divide by 0. Okay, this is the message. This is the exception. It came in because there was an exception. And the value of C was whatever I have initialized it. Do you understand? Likewise, if I make it 2, let's see. No exception. So this particular block, the catch block, was never called because there was no exception thrown by the try block. Okay, so this is my exception handling mechanism, wherein I can also have finally block. Okay, what does this say? A finally block is the one which is always executed. Okay, that means whether or not the exception has occurred, it is going to execute this block. So let me keep down the code. So what kind of code are you going to keep in here? The code such as to close down all the resources that we have used. But once we are going to go for our later programming, we would see we require to open database connection and close it. We need to close file streams. We need to close all the other resources that we are using. So there, that has to be closed within this finally block. So if it is open, it is just going to be a basic wasting of utilizing of resources. We don't want to do that, and we don't want to waste it. So this is fine. Yeah, it is working, still giving me the output. Yeah. What if I just make it 0 again? And let's see. Still working fine. So finally is an optional block. If you want, you can just not write it. That is what I did before. Okay, instead of writing it inside that. Now you can also see that the system.autoprintln for printing the C value was outside the finally, it was not there within that, but it was still getting executed. That means whatever code I have is not getting disturbed. So the normal flow of execution is maintained also by giving a proper message about it. Do you get it? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this was unchecked exception. Let's see what is checked exception. Okay, again, a very simple example that we are going to see. Okay, so if I forget to take main method, I can just take it from here. Okay, control space bar is the key. Okay, the shortcut keys for all the IDEs that you're going to work with, that you have basically. So let's see. Checked exception is the one wherein my compiler is going to force me to handle. Okay, that is the basic idea. So now what I'm doing, you remember scanner, right? If I make use of scanner, it is supposed to take the input from the user. Let's say I want to perform the task of taking the input from the other class. So here the other class that I'm referring to is buffered reader. Okay, there's a class called as buffered reader, which is present inside my Java IO, which extends the reader class, reader abstract class, okay, which is basically of character stream. Okay, it is used to take the input. Okay, it is for character stream. So I'm creating an object of this as reader is equal to new buffered reader. So there's a syntax that we follow. We need to take the input from the system, right? But buffer reader is supposed to only buffer the data. So I need an intermediator who is going to take the input from the user. So the person that takes the input from the user is input stream reader. Okay. Okay, so I have got an input stream reader who is going to pick up the data. Okay, pick up the data from the system. So this is how we do it. And this particular object is supposed to be given to our reader. So it is something like this. Do you understand what I've done? I have created an object of input stream reader, passed in the value for the system input, and then presented it to the reader. So now my reader can hold the value that I'm going to input from my system. Be good? The same statement can be written in this way, just to complicate. Okay. And this n is supposed to go there. So instead of adding this whole line, I just copy pasted this line inside my parameter. Yeah? Get it? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now let's move on. Now I need to prompt the user to enter a value. So let's say I'm saying enter your data. Okay. And the user is supposed to enter. So I'll say it has to go inside the string. So I'm creating a string data which will hold the value. So I'm saying string data is equal to now. So now whatever I'm going to have, it is going to be inside the reader. So it is this object I'm going to use. I'll say reader. Okay, reader dot. And I say read line. Okay, and before I do anything else, let me just comment. Up till now, there was no problem. Okay, my compiler was looking fine. Okay, it is only when I execute, I need to show it is into execution. Otherwise, my compiler is always checking my code. Okay, so here if you see, as and when I write reader.readline, there is an error which has occurred. My compiler is actually trying to prompt me with something. It's supposed to notify me with something. And it is saying there's an unhandled exception type IO exception. IO exception is a class which is present inside IO package, which handles input and output exceptions. Okay, so what it is saying that this particular statement is very likely to give you an exception. Okay, either you put this inside the try catch block or you just throw the exception. So there are two more keywords which you need to understand. There is throw and throws. So if a particular method, the value within this particular method is going to give you an exception, then you make use of throws. If you don't want to write try catch and finally. So what I can do here is I can say throws. Okay, what it does, it throws IO exception. So now you can see the error is gone. Yeah, the red line which had come up is gone. Yes. So now what I do, if I try to execute the code, it is going to work because my compile time thing has been done already. So this is my data. Let me just fill in some data. Okay, nothing. I've just done nothing. I'm just accepting the value. Be good? Yes. So here, my compiler forced me to handle the exception. This is called as checked exception, and wherein the exceptions which occur at the runtime are called as unchecked exception, which can be handled by using try, catch, and finally. Okay. Now, next there is also something called as throw. Okay, throw is a keyword. Okay, there are two things: throw and throws. Throws is used along with the method signature. Okay, like what we just saw. Okay, whereas throw is used to explicitly declare an exception. Okay, so if I have got one class which is supposed to be thrown explicitly, considering that this is no exception, I am deliberately creating one, then I make use of this exception, this throw keyword. Okay, so let's see this. It is used to explicitly throw an exception using the new keyword, and this is used to postpone the exception to the parent. So when I write throws, like when you see in here, okay, what you see in here is throws IO exception. So instead of using try catch and finally, I'm saying that go through this IO exception and give me the appropriate error if there occurs any, because I don't know how it is supposed to be handled. Yes, getting the point? Okay, let's go ahead with custom exception. Now, custom exception is again one of the concepts which was asked for one of the candidates to create one. So custom exception can be, let's say, you want to just show a particular else value as an exception. Let's say, for example, for the salary of an employee, I'm accepting the salary of an employee, and the salary should not be greater than 500 or something like 5,000, something like that. Okay, so I need to print an exception message saying that salary cannot be greater than 5,000. This is what I need to do. Okay, so I will have to generate a custom exception. Let's generate one. How do you do that? Let's go for right click, new, and I'm creating a class in here. So when we create a custom exception, I need to create a class which will extend the exception class. Let's see, how do we do this? This is my salary. Salary. Okay, this is class name. I finish it. Okay, now here we would try to extend exception. Now my salary class also becomes an exception. Okay, if I want, I can also change this. I can just do a quick refactor and I can say my salary exception. Okay. It is better to name it into a correct way. Okay. So this is my salary exception, which is extending exception, and I need to just have the constructor, and if I wish, I can write whatever I want. So let's say I'm having a my salary. Let's create one constructor fields. Okay. So I'm going to just copy paste and write one with the field. Don't worry, it's something like this. And I'm specifying string message. Okay. And it is supposed to print something. Okay. So I'm going to say super. Now, do you know what is super? Anybody can tell me what is super? Super is a keyword which is used to call the parent class entities, parent class, whatever we have in our parent class. So let's say if I'm saying super with this bracket, I'm trying to call the super classes parameterized constructor with string parameter. So I'm calling exception classes string constructor. Okay. So now let's create one test. Okay, I'm creating one more class here. So this is to test custom. So I'm going to say custom exception. This is for public static void main. And here I am going to create the exception. Okay. So first of all, let's make use of scanner. Okay, because I have to accept the value from this or the salary from the user. SC is equal to new scanner. And there is system.in. Okay, so I am going to say enter your salary or enter the salary. Okay, and then I'm going to write this into int salary and is equal to sc.next int. Okay, so now I'm going to put a quick check in here. I'm saying if salary is greater than 5,000. Okay, let's say it's 50,000. Okay, it cannot be greater than 50,000. I say if the salary is greater than 50,000, then you do something. Otherwise, you just print the message that the salary is in range. Okay, you're saying the salary. Okay, so this is fine. This is okay. Or a normal thing. Now let's throw this as an exception if the salary is greater than 5,000. So I'm going to say throw new exception. The exception that I wish to throw is my salary exception with the string message. Okay, so message is the salary cannot be more than 50,000. It cannot be more than, let's say, 40,000. This is what I want to say. Okay. Yeah, that is correct number, right? 30,000. Oh, this is whack. Yeah, now it is better. And okay, so now my compiler is again asking me, forcing me to handle this exception. So when you make use of throw, you also need to make use of throws, saying that this particular method contains an exception which will be handled by some other exception class. Okay, so the other exception class name is this. So I need to mention that into my signature as well. So I'm going to postpone it using throws, and I specify it here, and this is how it goes. That's it. Now let's try executing this. And here we go. So the salary here, I'm putting in, let's say, some good number. Yes, you can see it is saying that there's an error in the thread main. The salary cannot be more than 40,000. This is the method. This is the message which I printed. And it's also specifying everything. So if I want to throw up a message as an exception, then I can also do it by using throw new and throws keyword. Understood? Yes? Yes, people. Do you understand? Any doubt? Good? Okay, so next thing that we start with is the different variations, the different types which I have. So instead of writing those, I just have them. So I'm just going to add it into my system. You can see it there. Okay. So there are different types of combinations which we have. So let me just show you this here. So you have a try with catch. We have seen that simple try with catch. Yeah, try and catch. The next is try, catch, and finally we have also seen this one. Yes. Next one is try with multiple catch. How this works. Now there's a question for this one. Okay. So you can see if at all there are chances that we are supposed to get more than one exception from a single program, then how do you handle those exceptions? Okay, so I don't know exactly which exception I can use to handle those, which exception class needs to be used. So we can make use of all these things. Okay, so I've got a single try and multiple catch. 1, 2, 3 catches with me. Okay, so if you see in here, there is one that I'm generating here is divide by zero exception, and the other one is array index out of bound. Okay, so there's an array created, and I'm going to I'm going to work with all those things. Let's see this. I have given some value to A, B, and C. Okay, and this is supposed to generate an arithmetic exception. I'm printing the value here, and there isn't this message array of 4. 0, 1, 2, 3. So there is no index 4. So hence it is supposed to give me an exception. So for these, I have got arithmetic exception for this one for division. Then I've got array index for this one. And of course, you need to mention exception in here. This is if at all, if there occurs any other exception which needs to be handled, then I make use of that. So let's execute the code. So it is only one exception brought in here. Yeah. Don't you think it is only one exception shown? Let's try to do this one. Okay. The try will only hold one exception. The try is only going to throw a single exception and come out of try. Okay, it will not go for the same try. Otherwise, it is going to go for the thing that we have. So this time it is showing array for the array index out of bound exception. Yes. So this is one thing. The second thing that I wanted to talk to you about is instead of writing this exception block here, okay, the catch block for the parent exception here, I tried to write it here. Okay. So the interview question, what is unreachable catch block? This is the scenario for unreachable catch block, because if the parent is handling everything, why do you need arithmetic exception and array index out of bound to handle your exceptions? Just write the simple try and catch and forget about everything else. Because I have written it here, these two catches becomes unreachable, hence the answer of unreachable catch block. You get the point? So it is not highly recommended. It gives you an error, and it is better to write it in there below. After all the exceptions that you want, you have declared it accordingly. Do you get it? Yes. This is try with multiple catch. Let's see, nested try. Nested try, if I want to generate both the exceptions, how am I going to do that? Okay, let's have try within a try. This try is going to throw me one exception, and the other try and catch blocks are going to throw me another exceptions. So if I try to execute them, it is going to give me one at a time. So you can see there's one, the inside exception, the one which is nested will be executed first, and then the later code of try block will be executed later. Yes. Guys, do you get this? Yes, people. Okay, so there is one try with resources. I'll show that to you, but I want you all to first do some research. So I'll take a break here for 5 minutes before I go move on to the next topic. Okay. And I remember we did not go through abstraction, I suppose. Abstraction and polymorphism were left from the yesterday's session. So we'll complete that first. And then, if the time permits, we'll move on to collections. Okay? Yeah, great. Okay, let's continue. Okay, I'm sharing my screen again. And first we'll finish up with the previous thing, OOP, and then we'll continue with this one. Okay. So yesterday we saw encapsulation, we saw inheritance, and for single class and multi-inheritance. Now let's see how multiple inheritance, one of the concepts which we saw in here was for abstract class for an interface, right? This was an interface and the other one was for abstract class. We'll try to see this, how this works. No, I don't have here. Maybe, yeah, we can try to work with that too. I don't know where I kept it. It was here somewhere. Maybe we can see it later. Okay, so I'm creating one more package and I'm saying this to be, or one more class called this area again. Okay, this will be area. Class as area. I can just interchangeably have everything or anything that I want. And I'm naming this as abstraction. Okay. Like we have seen yesterday, guys, you can hear me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Like we have seen yesterday, we had one double area variable to calculate the area, store the calculated area. Then there was a method, so I can just write this to be as public void cal area method to calculate the area, and one method is public method, public void print area, to print the area, the calculated area which we have, right? And there were simple statements given wherein this was method to calculate the area. And this was so, and here we can say this is going to be area is equal to some value. So here I am actually presenting it. Okay. So now I need to create another. So since I cannot perform multiple inheritance directly, I need to have another thing. I need to create this was an yeah, perimeter was an abstract class. Yeah. This is what we have seen. So this today what I'm doing, I'm making area as a class and a perimeter as an interface. So how do you create an interface? You're just going to create an interface in here. Okay. And let's say I see perimeter. Okay, now the basic difference between an abstract class and an interface. Okay, abstract class is a class which may or may not contain an abstract, which may contain a non-abstract method into it. Whereas interface is similar to a class which will always have an abstract method. In comparison to what we have from version 8, now abstract method can now interfaces can also have default and static methods into it. Okay, apart from having abstract methods. The second point, all the variables that are defined but within an interface are by default final in public. It cannot be changed. Whereas if anything that you do within the abstract class is going to be normal. Okay. The third point that you can consider is abstract class, all the methods, all the non-abstract methods which are there in abstract class, you need to override them. The similar thing needs to be done inside your interfaces, and even interfaces are supposed to override. If you're implementing an interface, then you will have to override all the methods which are mentioned in there. Okay, again, you can say that an abstract class is supposed to be extended. You can only extend one abstract class, whereas an interface is implemented within a child class, and you can implement more than one interfaces into it. Yeah, we good here so far? Yes, so this was my class. So when does an abstract class comes into picture? An abstract class is the one which contains one or more abstract method. I can see that this method is of no use to me. Why don't I make it abstract? How do you make it abstract? By giving it the keyword abstract. Okay. Once you do that, the class which contains this abstract method also becomes abstract. Yes. So now what happens if you do this? Okay. Before, let me just do a lot of undos in here. And let me just show you if I have a main method. Okay. I'm having a main method in here and I'm trying to create an object of area class. So area is equal to new area. Okay. And I'm trying to say area dot cal area and area dot print. Right. These are possible if my class is a normal class. But now, if I try to do what I did just before, okay, like this, and I make it as abstract, okay, the same thing for this one. So you can see this is going to give me an error. The instantiation is not possible for an abstract class, considering that this particular class contains some of the properties which does not have a definition to it. So to avoid all those things, you make use of, you cannot instantiate an abstract class. Yes, you cannot instantiate the type area. Okay, so this is not required. This is just for your this was just for your understanding. Do you understand this, guys? Area. Next one is for perimeter. Perimeter is an interface, right? I just want to few things in here. I want a public method, a public void cal perimeter method, right? An abstract. You don't have to specify abstract. It is by default abstract. The second one is more of, let's say, a print area, print perimeter, and it goes like this. That's it. Your signatures are ready. Everything that you need for your system are ready with you. Okay, and you can always perform 100% abstraction. Your data is abstract. You cannot access it unless and because you cannot create an object. So accessibility becomes an issue. How do you access the values? And so whenever you are implementing into something, there the values will be generated and it will be kept secured accordingly. Okay, let's say for example here I am creating the class called a circle. Okay, so I name this as circle, and this is supposed to be public static void main. And here I am going to write both the things, right? I'm going to extend the abstract class, which is area, okay, and implements the interface, which is perimeter. Yes, this is how it goes. So now it is giving me an error because I need to implement all the unimplemented method. So let's do that. Can you see all the methods which I had in there are now implemented? Everything that I needed in there are now present with me. Okay, so what do I have? I have got one method for calculating perimeter, one method to calculate print perimeter, one method to. So did you see the preference was first given to the interface rather than going to the class? So if two of these methods, let's say for example, if I'm having one method as cal, okay, and the other method is also cal, okay, I'm having the same method name. So now in this case, this particular thing, if both of them were classes, it is supposed to give me an exception. It is supposed to give me an error saying that the circle is inheriting cal from both the places. So now it is not possible for him to, possible for this particular class to have a cal from both, okay? To have property or to have methods with the same name. So now this method, now this thing is resolved because the preference is given to the parameter. So whatever you do with this cal method of, it is just going to override with whatever we have into our perimeter interface. So you can just override the unimplemented method and only one method will be overridden and your problem of multiple inheritance is solved. Yes. Understood? So here I can write down my code. I just have to write the required thing. Okay, let's say, for example, things that I need. I need a double thing for double area. There's an abstract class area was there, double perimeter. I'll just write it as peri. Okay, then I need radius, radius is equal to 0.0, or maybe this time I just initialize it to some value. Okay, and that's it, I suppose. Now let's see how this works. Now, calculated perimeter. So I will say printing the perimeter value for, let's calculate first. Okay, so here I'm going to say, first let me calculate the area. So I'll say area has to come in. Area is equal to 3.14 into radius into, yeah, and perimeter is equal to 2 into 3.14 into, yeah, and now let's print this one. So I'll say so and write down the statement that I wish to print. I can say perimeter is equal to plus peri, and this is how it goes. So now let's call our main method. Okay, so here in main, I'm simply going to create the object of the circle class. So I'll say circle is equal to new circle, and I can write circle dot cal, and both the calculations are done, and I don't need to worry about the confusion among them. And then there is print area and print perimeter. Circle dot print perimeter. Okay, let's see if this works. Here we have the value. Do you understand? Abstraction. Interface helps us to achieve 100% abstraction. We good? Yes, people?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one, which is polymorphism. So first of all, let's go for the definition. Polymorphism is the place, or it is the thing wherein you're having more than one form for some of the entities, for few of the entities. Polymorphisms are performed on the methods. Yeah, on the methods which we have. So let's say I'm creating a class here. I call this as area. I'm going to work with the same thing as always, just to have a simple fact, polymorphism. Okay, and M is twice. I can say I am doing static polymorphism. There are two types of polymorphism. Again, an interview question, what are different types of polymorphism? Static polymorphism, which is compile time polymorphism, which is early binding, and runtime polymorphism, which is late binding or dynamic polymorphism. Okay, so what do you name this? I name this as area. Okay, and this is how it goes. Okay. Static P. I am having public static void name. Static is a keyword and hence not allowed as a package name. Okay. So in this area class, I am going with static polymorphism. So the static polymorphism are again of two types, for method overloading and method and a constructor overloading. These are two things which we can do in here. So first of all, we'll go for method overloading. Okay, let's say I am creating a method here. Let's say void, sorry, void, void. This is to calculate the area, right? So I am going to say cal. So this is for cal area for, let's say, area for circle. Okay, I have a method which is going to calculate area for a circle, and I am creating again a variable here, such as area is equal to 0.0. Okay, and here I am specifying what it is supposed to do. I'm simply printing the value of area which I'm going to get. So it is 3.14 into R into R. Okay, so I don't know what R is, so I'm just simply, let's say, I am going to pass it from here. I'm going to say int R. R is nothing but the radius, which I'm going to fetch in which whenever we call the method. Okay, one method here, and it is not A, it is area. Because one method created. Now I need again one more method. So I'll say area for square. Okay. So let's say area for square or select rectangle. CTAN rec TANGLE rectangle. Rectangle has got two things in length, breadth. Okay, it is length into breadth. So area is equal to L into B. Yes, and I can simply print the value here. So what do I need to print? I can say here, area or circle, SIRCLE, and plus, so, okay. And similarly for this one, we're going to have things such as area of rectangle. Yeah, this seems fine. Let's say we'll create one more. That is a bit of a tedious calculation that I tend to do. Triangle. Okay, now why do I do this? Because I want to show you that it works. Comma in B, comma in C. Okay, here I need to make a double S. So this is how we calculate. We get the sides and then we go along, right? It is A plus B plus C divided by 2. Okay, and then you start calculating the area. Area is equal to square root. So there's a function called as math dot square root of a s into s into s minus. So this is going to be their common. So let me just do this. Result. Okay, so this is s minus a into s minus b into s minus c. This is the formula actually, so I'm just trying to make it this way. Yeah, I think I'm covering up everything. Maybe there's, yeah, it is done. Now I just need to print the value. So area or whatever we are doing. Copy and paste. Area of triangle. TRIANGLE. Yeah. Do you understand? This is geometry. I was bad at geometry, but I still have it. Only this one. Only some of them, which I require for my math. So what I'm doing here, I'm creating an object for my class. I'm saying, okay, area. So I'm saying area A. Okay, this time it is, let's say I say, let's say X, Y, Z, or some value. Let's say demo is equal to the object name is demo area. Okay, and then I'm calling demo dot area of circle with some value, let's say 10. Okay, demo dot area of rectangle. Let's say there are supposed to be 10 values, or there's supposed to be 2 values which I need to specify. And then again, demo dot area of triangle. So I specify some value in there. Let's say, so I'm not pretty sure about this, but it has to be something around. So I try to execute the code and I am getting the value. Some value. It is not applicable, maybe because I've done something wrong. Yeah, I'm getting something. Okay. Okay, NaN is not a number, so I had to make it a number. So you get some values in here. So what I'm doing, I'm creating 3 methods. Each of these methods are calculating area for the respective shapes. Now in geometry, there are hundreds of shapes. Okay, the hundreds, not hundreds, but a good amount of shapes that needs to have area to be calculated. So is it possible for me to remember all the names? It's quite tedious. Okay, I'm so instead of writing say this name, different names, what I can do is I can have a single name, but to differentiate with them, I can have different parameter list. Okay, so something like this. So instead of writing in this way, I am going to, let's say, refactor this as area. Okay, so you can see now again, this is also an area. Okay, and even this refactor area again. Okay, so again, this has been refactored to the same stuff, and we do this for the last. Why am I doing so? Because so that I don't have to do it for all the places which I have area. Okay, so now you can see there was no error. Although it is not allowed to have same name within a class for a particular entity that I'm working with, it is allowed for me to have method names with different parameter list. Okay, same method name but different parameter list is called as method overloading. Okay, so again, an interview question which has been asked many times: difference between overloading and overriding. Overriding was one of the concepts which we have been going through since yesterday. So we know what it is. Redefining a method. Okay. In a parent class, that method has got some definition and I'm trying to override it. I'm trying to recreate it, or I'm trying to give a definition as per my understanding. Then that is called as overriding. I'll give you an example for the same. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. This is method overloading. You get this, people? Now, let's create another. I'm creating an area 1 class. Okay, I've just copy pasted it just to not take a lot of time. So now instead of these methods, I have constructor. This is my first parameterized constructor, my second parameterized constructor, my third parameterized constructor, all with different parameter list. Yes. And sorry, and we call it. So how do you call parameterized constructor? So instead of creating a single method and calling all the methods, I will have to create different methods, different objects to call different constructors. So here it will be for calling area of circle. Okay, so similarly, if I have to do for area of triangle, then I will have to say, let's say, I'll just call this as circle. And this is triangle. Let's say I'm giving some value as 6, 2, 8. Okay, and again, area 1 rectangle as 20 into 10. I need not this. I need not need this. So I can just execute the code and I will be getting the thing that I want. Again, the triangle plot. So is very small, right? So it is not giving some any value. Yeah, here you go. This is your constructor overloading. You can also have parameterized constructor, no big deal. Yeah, if that is allowed, you can write whatever you want, or you can directly say just refer to your super if you have any. Since I don't have any, it is not going to refer to anything. You're good so far. Yes, this is your overloading. Let's close this. Let me just rename this here. Overloading, and the other one is overriding. Overriding, seen already, but let's say it was this one. Okay, I had cal area in my parent class, which was having something into it. But depending upon my utilization or depending upon my usage, I just changed the value after extending the class, changed the definition. So I changed it to my understanding. I changed it as per my requirement to this one. Yes, this is method overloading. Overloading or rewriting the method. Okay, it is the method signature and everything remains the same. Only the thing that changes is the definition, what should go inside. Whereas in overloading, it is only whatever you write does not make any difference. Whatever you have in there, the thing that changes in there is the parameter list. Whereas everything remains the same except for the definition again, depending on the requirement. So we're good. There's one more concept left, which I can talk about, a very important interview concept, which is dynamic method dispatch. It is one of the concepts of overloading. So let me just take it here. Okay, no. Let's create a new package. This overriding. So I can paste it. Yeah. So as we know that we have got one area class, abstract class, one perimeter class, or perimeter interface. So if you have to understand this more, you cannot create an object of interface. Also, it is not allowed to create an object for an abstract class. Only the ones which we are working with can be used. The normal classes can be utilized. So now this is the normal object that you create. Now instead of doing this, if I try to do this, area abstract class cannot instantiate, right? Is equal to. Now I cannot write a new area, it is not possible for me. But I can write this. Yes, this is allowed because this is a child class. This is also called as downcasting. And this is called as upcasting. Right, downcasting. Whatever you call it. Okay. So now here using this variable, I can do dot and I can do everything that was possible. By calculating area, then area dot the other method, print area, and area dot also the other method which you have. Print perimeter is not there. Yeah, we have print perimeter. No, because that class does not contain this. Okay, so perimeter cannot be accessed. This is called as dynamic method dispatch. Dynamically, dynamically the object is assigned with the memory reference of that class at the runtime. Okay, then this is called as late binding. This is your dynamic method dispatch. If you don't want to do this, the other way is, let's say I am not doing it this way. I'm creating an area class. I'll say area, semicolon, and then I say area is equal to circle. So both of them are going to share. Circle is the object which we have in here. So both of them are going to share the same values. Okay. And of course, because they are same, so you're going to get the same values automatically. Yeah. Getting it? This is dynamic method dispatch. Which method is supposed to be called from which class is decided at the runtime. This was with area. I can also work with parameter for the same. Let's say perimeter. So I'll say perimeter, and then everything remains the same. So I can just do it in this way. Okay, wherein I am writing something like this. Okay. Okay, I can do it this way. Or I can also do something like this. Perimeter is equal to circle object. Okay, and I can access. So I can say perimeter dot cal. that is allowed, and perimeter dot print perimeter. I won't be having area because it does not contain. And this is dynamic method dispatch. Play with the speed. Everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So this completes all of your OOP. Everything that you should be knowing about in programming for OOP. Okay, so we'll take a break here again for 5 minutes before I actually start with collection. So I want you all to digest this one so that you can go ahead with the next concept of collections. Okay, it is going to be a mere, what do you call, an introductory session to explain you what collection is all about. Okay, and then we'll start with some of the programmings, which is going to be helpful for you. Okay. Okay, let's continue. So I would like to share some tips. How do you start researching, or how do you start working on this aspect? Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, like I said, if I want to go for exception, I want to dig in all the types of programs. So first of all, make sure that you get through all the topics. Okay, you should be knowing the index of your concept. So if I am going for exception, what are the concepts, or what is the index that I need to know about the topics which are important in here? What is exception? Difference between error and exception. Then there has to be types of exception, different ways to handle exception, and program for. So whichever concept you are dealing with, you need to make sure that you have a corresponding program for the same. Okay. Now, I said that you should always start. If you remember, I have told you before that you can start with the hierarchy always, right? So let me. I'll show you handling exception hierarchy. You can see there's so many people giving a lot of reasons, giving a lot of things that can help you out to understand. So it was one time asked in the interview for getting all the names of the exception or the hierarchy of exception. So it is really important for you to remember this as well. It is really important for you to get through this as well. If you see, this is a very basic diagram. You can understand this in very easy detail. Java made so easy. Okay. So things are there online. You don't have to build up anything from the beginning. Okay, unless and until you're doing something else that is not at all required. There are a lot of things which can help you out to understand what these things are all about. Let's say, for example, for this one, this is for simple snippet, and this is what they are saying. If you can view it, can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
So it is saying object. Object is the base class for all the classes that you create in Java. Then there comes throwable. Then there's exception. Then there's error. Yeah. For exception, you have got things such as checked exception and then unchecked exception. Checked exceptions handled by the class, handled by the compiler. So you have got classes such as IO exception, SQL exception, class not found exception. Whereas for unchecked exception, you have arithmetic null pointer, index out of bound exception, and index out of bound again has got array index and string index. Then for error, stack overflow error, virtual memory error, out of memory error. So everything is for related to memories in there. So you can just talk about that. If you get confused with one, use another. This will help you out. You can just see there's so many things present here. This will clear out your gray, and this will clear out your confusion which you might have. So always search for a particular concept. Let's say I want to search for try with multiple catch. Okay, I want to search for that. Try with multiple catch. Okay, catch with example. So you can come up with your own method, people. This is something that helped me to catch up quickly. So here it goes. Again, see a beautiful diagram represented here. Okay, there are so many catch blocks to represent the same thing. Right, again, see, a direct example came in. You can just refer to them and just get through this. Yeah, so many examples. So directly go for this one. So if you click on this, there is another link that is going to redirect you to that. So you can click there and refer to the site. But otherwise, if you have to start from scratch, if you're starting from scratch, then it is better to start with Java T point. Okay, Java T point has got everything. Now, believe me here, I'm not an ambassador. I'm not anything. I'm just saying you that it had helped me a lot. Okay, even tutorials point was good for me. I have also referred Study Tonight. I had referred to Geeks for Geeks, again, a wonderful website, which has got a lot of simple examples which you can implement into your system to see how things work. Okay, although you have to register, login and everything, but it is worth. Next, you have things like study tonight. I just said that, right? There is how to Java. There's simply learn is also one of the things which we have there. So there's so many things that you can refer to online if you're stuck for a particular concept. Okay, you need to make sure that you pick how do you prepare yourself for each and every sessions, or how do you prepare for each of the concepts which you have. So you're going to, let's say you're picking up for polymorphism. Okay, so you are going to search everything or just have all the materials, the topics which are required for it. So you are going to go for static poly. So you're going to go for what is polymorphism with the definition, the types of polymorphism. So definition for each of the types. Let's say I'm starting with static polymorphism. Then I'm going to go for method overloading and constructor overloading. We write the definition, but along we should be knowing the definition, but we should be knowing how to write the code for the same. Again, you can search it and you will get tons of examples that will help you out to understand that concept. It is not necessary that you rectify the concepts. If you remember the code, you will remember. If you remember how the code is supposed to be done to solve a particular concept, you will be able to say the concept in your simple technical terms. Okay, you need not go for the concept separately. So it is a vice versa thing. You do the program, concepts will follow it. Yeah. Do you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now let me just show you again the thing which is of importance, which we are starting right now, is collections in Java. Now here, again, hierarchy plays a wonderful role in here. If you remember the hierarchy, you remember what it does, what each of these interfaces, classes, and everything that you have in here works. It will help you there. Okay, so let's say, for example, I'll search for something having a lot of things into it. You can see this contains almost everything. Okay, and it is not that visible. Right. Let's open this image. Open image in the new tab. Okay, yeah, here you can see it has got almost everything in here. Okay, this is wonderful. Okay, I just saw it here. It is for, it seems to be a genuine one. This is for Java 8. There's collection hierarchy, concurrent, simple, list, queue, and everything. Yeah. So things are there available. You just have to use them. You don't have to rely to single notes. Okay, like I never mentioned this website, but I just got it from here. And this is not the same. From here, right? The same image which we have in here. So I can start, if I wish to start, I'll start with collections. Then they have given here hyperlinks. Okay, they have got everything that you should be knowing about. Root interface for collection hierarchy, a collection represents a group of objects, and this is a wonderful one. Let me just share this with you. Yeah, this is a secure one, so I think you can use it. Yeah, just keep it whenever you want, you can use it. Are we good here? Okay, a good website. So once you understand the hierarchy, it becomes easy for you to go ahead with the later part. Okay, so I did not learn in this way, so this is quite different. And you can go for a simple vertical one. Maybe say this one. Again, this. We need not put basic stuff. We need not worry so terribly. Yeah, this will work. This is from some place. This bytes of gigabytes.com. Again, a name. Okay, very tiny. Need a good picture. Just a minute. Right. Have a picture. This is open the image. Very tiny. Come on, guys. Do you see it? It's quite difficult. You can go for Java 3.0 always. You can go for them because their images are big. Maybe if you can see to the right hand side here. So we always start with we actually have two things. Okay, a collection framework consists of two different things. One is collection and the other one is map. So if I have to give out the definition for the same, a collection is a collection of data members. Okay. Here we have got a lot of things associated with it. So I can have my data in the form of objects. It is basically most of the time it is in the form of objects. So it is collection of data, collection of interface, and it's implementing classes. Okay, and it is something that helps you to store, retrieve, and manipulate objects. Okay, so here we are not playing with the primitive types. Here we are playing with object types, and we have got the wrapper classes in picture. Okay, so starting with the collection framework, you have uh, the first part is collection. If you see in here, this collection says that this collection is an interface which henceforth extends in iterable. Okay, then you have collection which is extended by list, queue, and set. You have heard about this, right? List, queue, set. The basic reason for having collection API in Java is to implement data structures in Java. We can, since we do not have pointers, it is quite difficult for us to maintain or to work with what a data structure does. Okay, so for that reason there was a separate API created to implement the same. So we have got list. It's a work similar to what a list is supposed to work for. It is a collection of some values. Okay, it is a list. Whereas queue is again collection of some values. Then set, collection of some value. Then map, collection of some value, but they have got some rules that they follow. Okay, let's say for queue is a list. Okay, queue is an array, or I can say a sequence, in where it is going to follow first and first out principle, right? Next, if I say I have got set means it is not going to allow any duplicate value into it. When I say list will allow duplicate. It is any list that you prepare, a shopping list, an interview list, or any kind of list that you have. It may or may not have a duplicate value. A list can contain, it is basically of a particular type. You need not have all the other types into it. Okay. And map here is to store the data in a key value format. For now, this much is enough, right? You can see all the ones which are in orange colors. These are interfaces. And the others that you see here are your classes. Likewise, you can see in for map. Yes, people? Again, there's one more diagram that you can look for. This is better. Yeah. It is saying that red ones are interface, green ones are classes. So list interface is extended by array list, linked list, vector, and vector is extended by stack. Whereas queue interface has got priority queue, and it is also extended by another interface called as DQ and then array DQ. Then you have got set containing hash set, and there's linked hash set, then there is sorted set interface extending set, and there is tree set. So if you have done data structures, if you are prepared that, then you will be understanding what is happening in here. All of the underlying architecture, all of the working is similar to what we have read in our data structure. So queue is going to follow first and first out. This is going to follow, stack is going to follow last and first out. Array, it is going to be similar to the array. Array list is similar to the array. The only difference is here the array list is dynamic. The storage is again the same. It is in continuous memory location. Whereas linked list is going to have the same thing, the node representation for the same. Vectors is again a dynamic array, but here the memory management is in different perspective, and it is also a legacy class, which is having all the legacy methods into it. Okay. Then we have got queue, wherein we can prioritize the element which needs to be going. So there are different priorities maintained for the same. Array DQ, it is actually extending some features from queue, and the linked list also gets the features of DQ from here. Okay. here the linked list is doubly linked list. So there are so many minor things that you need to prepare for. So the one of the best ways to prepare for collection is to create a chart. Okay, you create a proper chart into your system at your house or somewhere. Okay, just name down or pen down each and every component that you see in there. Just have a notation for each one of them and write down the key points that you find it. So you have to just refer to it each and every day unless and until you are thorough with all what all these concepts are all about. Okay, it is a very best way to remember stuff. That is what people do if you want to not put a lot of efforts. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's it from my end. Now I would like to take some questions from you if you have any. Do you wish to ask me anything? Do you wish to, um, you know, want me to write any program or anything, show you some program, or do something that is going to help you out for your interview? You can just ask me here. Yes, now you can switch on your cameras and we can talk efficiently. Shall we? Make sure that you are upright first and then you switch on your camera. Abhinav, you're on mute. Yes, any questions?
Yes, no, upright.
Yeah, you were not before. Yes, Khagendra and Hadia, do you have any doubt?
No, ma'am.
No doubt. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think there's nothing, right? So I should
Ma'am,
end up the session. Yeah,
ma'am,
tell me.
ma'am, without try and catch, can we use finally?
No, it is not possible. You should, because a try is the one which is going to decide whether this block is supposed to be thrown for an exception or not, for handling an exception or not. So try is the must.
Okay.
So now it depends whether you can have a catch or finally or the other combinations or not. That is the deal. Understood? Anything else? So the thing goes is again the same. You will have to do the program. Next time, from tomorrow onwards, I want you all to show me your Eclipse, wherein you are going to write down your code. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
All the programs performed at your end. I want you all to do that. Yes, guys. Do you get me?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So I'm sharing the file that I'm working on right now. You can just check your chat box. Just let me know if you received any. Okay, that's it. Just let me know if you have downloaded it. I'll just end up the session then.
Yes, no, I downloaded it.
Downloaded, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. Hadia, you're good? Hadia, did you download? Shall I end up the session? Okay, it seems it is a yes. Okay, people,
Thank you,
that's
ma'am.
it. Yeah, have a nice evening.